He was a high thinker and a guy that was always 30 steps ahead of whatever the curve was.
This is what it sounds like when the doves cry.
Like, I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist.
He got left out on a limb and somehow still had to create his way out of that. He was just really a one in a billion type person. I was lucky to know.
8 years ago, the world was stunned by the departure of Prince, sparking a whirlwind of speculation and rumors about the circumstances surrounding his passing. Now brace yourself, as whispers suggest that Katt Williams, known for his recent outspokenness and revelations, might shed light on the mystery. With Katt's penchant for uncovering truths and offering glimpses behind the curtain of the entertainment world, and it involves Jay-Z name, there's talk that he's poised to delve even further into the shadows to unveil what truly transpired with Prince. You might be tempted to dismiss it as just Katt being Katt, but remember, everything he revealed in that infamous interview turned out to be true. Plus, Katt and Prince were close pals, so it's not outlandish to think he might have some insider knowledge. Could we finally be getting some closure on one of music's greatest mysteries? According to Katt, it's about time the truth came out, and he's ready to take on the task. Let's dive into it. Alright, so we all recall the narrative that was presented to us. Prince, the iconic artist, passed away at 57, discovered unresponsive in his Minnesota estate. The official explanation was an accidental fentanyl overdose, attributed to counterfeit Vicodin laced with a potent synthetic opioid. But let's face it, that explanation left many of us with lingering questions, ones that still hang in the air today. Now, before we delve into the mystery, let's address why Katt Williams might be the one to spill the beans. Turns out, Katt and Prince were tight. They were as close as can be, like peanut butter and jelly. In that unforgettable interview with Club Shay Shay, Katt let slip that Prince wasn't just an acquaintance, he was a real friend. Shannon Sharpe, the interviewer himself, asked Katt about meeting Prince, and Katt casually revealed that Prince was more than just a passing acquaintance.
He was just an amazing individual. I was able to meet him when I was 12, and I knew him my entire life through all of his changes.
With Shannon displaying his fanboy admiration for Prince's unparalleled talents, his mastery of multiple instruments, his mesmerizing performances encompassing singing and dancing, Katt simply nods along, affirming that Prince was indeed in a league of his own. He goes further, hinting at the depth of their bond by suggesting he knew Prince his entire life. Katt spills the beans on their profound connection, sharing glimpses of their discussions on everything from lyrics and music to women and cars. Yes, apparently, Prince's car collection is not just about vehicles. It's intertwined with stories, and Katt Williams is a part of that narrative. They were in sync on the essentials: musical genius, appreciation for the ladies, and naturally, a love for those sweet rides. Katt even hints at how they supported each other through various challenges, especially in navigating the harsh realities of the music business.
Because we share certain things. Our connection was lyrics, musical lyrics, women, and cars.
So, when Katt Williams hints that he's privy to the real story behind Prince's departure, it's not just some random speculation. He's someone who was there, someone who shared more than just a few laughs with the Purple One. In a 2022 interview with Arsenio Hall, Katt spilled the beans on how he was inspired by Prince and spent a cool 5 years as a rapper before transitioning into the comedy scene. It all began after a meetup with Prince at the tender age of 12 in Dayton, Ohio, where Prince was performing at the University of Dayton Arena. According to Katt, this encounter marked the beginning of a lifelong connection, with Prince serving as a guiding force. He even credits the legendary singer for boosting his self-esteem, attributing his confident swagger to Prince's influence.
I met Prince when I was 12.
Where did you meet Prince when you were 12?
In Dayton. After
Really?
he performed at UD Arena. Yeah, I mean, I knew him my whole life.
In his trademark style, Katt drops some wisdom about Prince being a high thinker, always steps ahead of the curve. While we all know Prince was a musical genius, playing more instruments than most of us can name, here's the kicker. Katt suggests that Prince also imparted lessons about embracing one's uniqueness.
He let me know that you could be short and light-skinned with long hair, and people could make fun of you, but as long as women loved you,
Now, let's venture into the unsettling territory. Some fans are drawing connections between Katt's statement about Prince always being 30 steps ahead and the cryptic remarks Prince made before his passing. They're piecing together theories suggesting that perhaps Katt was privy to something Prince knew, something sinister. There's speculation swirling around, hinting at potential plots against Prince. You know how Prince was notorious for dropping cryptic lines, and some believe he might have confided in Katt. Let's delve deep into the rabbit hole of theories surrounding Prince's death, because some individuals out there believe that the official reports are nothing but a pile of lies. Prince's insights into Hollywood took on a more ominous tone when he tragically passed away in an elevator. The circumstances surrounding Prince's death inside an elevator were particularly eerie, according to L.A. Reid, especially given Prince's known apprehensions about elevators. As depicted in the following video from E.T., Prince's friend Reid discussed the unsettling discovery of Prince's lifeless body in an elevator.
One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?" No. I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil."
According to E.T., Reid shared Prince's aversion to elevators. Prince held a belief that elevators were sinister in nature, often referring to them as instruments of the devil. This perspective on elevators was encapsulated in Prince's 1984 song, Let's Go Crazy. In the song's lyrics, Prince likened elevators to malevolent forces that might attempt to bring a person down. He sang about the struggle to ascend by pressing a higher floor button, symbolizing his defiance against the negative influence he associated with elevators. He sings, "And if the elevator tries to bring you down, go crazy, punch a higher floor. If you don't like the world you're living in, take a look around you. At least you got friends. You see, I called my old lady. For a friendly word, she picked up the phone, dropped it on the floor. Is all I heard. Are we gonna let the elevator bring us down? Oh no, let's go." Reid recounted a conversation he had with Prince regarding the artist's feelings about elevators. This discussion left Reid feeling uncomfortable as it delved into the topic of the devil, something he was uneasy discussing. The news of Prince's lifeless discovery in an elevator on the first floor of Paisley Park, Prince's residence and studio, deeply perturbed Reid, given the context of their previous conversation. One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?" I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil." It scared me. I don't like to talk like that, but he said that. So for me, it was like really haunting when I read that he was found in an elevator, which was what triggered the public because they think it might connect to him being outspoken against the industry. Prince undeniably stands as one of the most influential musicians in history, with a remarkable career that extended across more than 4 decades. His legendary status within the music industry is underscored by the extraordinary achievement of selling over 100 million records worldwide, a distinction attained by only a select few. Prince's global influence is immeasurable, and although he is primarily celebrated for his music, he also made forays into the realm of film.
Animals strike curious poses.
Prince's versatility as an artist extended beyond his music and encompassed his image, where he attained the status of a S symbol by embracing an androgynous S, challenging traditional gender norms, and breaking free from racial stereotypes. His bands frequently included talented female members, and he consistently championed women within the music industry throughout his illustrious career. However, his dedication to women's empowerment also generated a range of rumors and speculations, ultimately contributing to his growing disillusionment with the industry.
Don't be fooled by the internet. It's cool. It's cool to get on.
In the music industry, Prince, who sadly passed away at the age of 57, emerged as a trailblazer and, at times, a contentious champion of artist rights. Throughout the 1990s, he engaged in open conflicts with the music industry, resorting to protests such as etching the word slave onto his cheek and adopting an unpronounceable glyph as his name. These bold actions were his means of expressing profound dissatisfaction with the major label system. He said, "Record contracts are just like, I'm gonna say the word slavery. I would tell any young artist, don't sign." Furthermore, in a 1996 interview with the Los Angeles Times, Prince conveyed such a deep distaste for the music industry that he disclosed a longing to have pursued an entirely different career. He exclaimed, "If I knew the things I know now before, I wouldn't be in the music industry." If Prince were an emerging artist in 2022, he would likely have thrived in the contemporary music landscape. Today's artists enjoy more autonomy and are not as reliant on major labels to manage their careers. Prince, with his musical ingenuity and entrepreneurial mindset, proved that artists could be both creative powerhouses and astute entrepreneurs, challenging the traditional belief that such decisions should be exclusively dictated by corporate executives.
There's a war going on. The battlefield's in the mind. and the prize is the soul.
When contemplating Prince, our minds conjure the image of a versatile genius, adept at composing, producing, mastering various musical instruments, and possessing dance skills that rivaled even his backing performers. Elevating Prince to the forefront of our consciousness, we unmistakably associate him with sensuality, evident through his overtly provocative style. His music becomes synonymous with intimate, bedroom-friendly melodies, and we perceive the man, in his own renowned words, as an individual of immense allure and magnetism.
Mainly, I sensed a great deal of negativity and entropy in the music. There's a disintegration.
However, in the midst of the undeniable S undertones prevalent in Prince's music, and even within his persona, we also discover another facet that has historically clashed with S religion. Indeed, the complex interplay between S and religion has been a source of tension, with the Catholic Church, for instance, long considering the topic a taboo.
Sexuality is not bad. I'm talking about sexuality is very spiritual in nature. And that's a God-given gift, too.
Nonetheless, for an artist exuding undeniable sensuality, Prince maintained an unwavering faith in God. I like to believe my inspiration comes from God. I've always known God is my creator. Without him, nothing works, he once affirmed. Prince's faith may have been deeply rooted in his early life, marked by a miraculous event. He was born epileptic, yet miraculously his condition was cured. As a child, Prince reportedly confided in his mother, suggesting that an angel had foretold his healing, though Prince himself has occasionally expressed uncertainty about recalling this specific conversation with his mother.
My mother told me one day I walked into her and said, Mom, I'm not going to be sick anymore. And she said, why? And I said, because an angel told me so.
Prince was initially raised as a Seventh-day Adventist, but later in life, he embraced the faith of Jehovah's Witnesses. Both of these religions are sometimes considered to be on the fringes of mainstream Christianity. Nevertheless, Prince's unwavering belief in God remains undeniable, particularly when we delve into the themes present in his music. One particular track on which Prince's faith in Christ is evident is the opener of 1984's Purple Rain, which opens with the sermon-like line, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life," as well as a funeral procession-esque organ solo to boot. In 1997, Prince disclosed that the track served as a metaphor symbolizing the conflict between Christ and Satan. However, it was presented as a metaphor rather than a direct and overt reference to his faith. This approach was likely due to the reluctance of radio stations to promote songs with explicit religious themes. As I wrote it, Let's Go Crazy was about God and the de-elevation of sin, Prince said, but the problem was that religion as a subject is taboo in pop music. People think that the records they release have got to be hip, but what I need to do is to tell the truth. I had to change those words up, but the elevator was Satan. I had to change the words up because you couldn't say God on the radio. And Let's Go Crazy was God to me. It was, stay happy, stay focused, and you can beat the elevator. Are we gonna let the elevator bring us down? Oh no, let's go. Prince ingeniously navigated the radio censorship restrictions to convey his pastor-like wisdom on the transformative role God can play in our lives when embraced. Notably, the track re-entered the Billboard Hot 100 charts after Prince's untimely death in 2016, surging as high as number 26 just 3 weeks following his passing.
Like that is kind of like a black hole, and it's hard to audit, it's hard to get accounting, and it's not that it's just about the money.
While much of our initial conceptions of Prince seem at odds with religion, what with all the overt S we find in his music, it is evident that Prince found solace in God, which in many ways eases the pain of his sad and early exit from this life. In Let's Go Crazy, the Revenant Prince proclaims, "I'm here to tell you there's something else, the afterworld, a world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun day or night." Undoubtedly, Prince's influence left a profound impact on many, including Eddie Murphy, who openly acknowledged this connection. In a revealing interview, Eddie Murphy recounted a surreal experience he had once shared with the late music icon Prince at the musician's residence.
It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're at his house, and Prince goes, "Who wants to go roller skating?" He was like, "What?" And we went to this roller rink at like 3 in the morning.
Eddie Murphy mentioned that Prince had skates that would light up as he skated, similar to the way some sneakers light up when you walk, and according to him, it was a magical moment. He said, "You know how some sneakers, when you walk, they would light light up. He had skates that when he skated, they would light up. Fallon responded, "That's bizarre," to which Murphy replied, "It was surreal." However, there were some people who slammed him for the reference of Satan in his songs. Sinead O'Connor has alleged that Prince was involved in devil business and recounted an incident where she perceived him as being violent during a pillow fight. The 54-year-old singer stated that she was called to the late music icon's residence for a meeting in 1991, shortly after achieving global success with her cover of his song, "Nothing Compares to You." In her new memoir, Rememberings, she claimed that the irises of Prince's eyes vanished as he stood at the front door of his Hollywood property, leading her to fear that he might be deeply involved in the occult.
Yeah, I think I was very young. I wasn't ready for the type of success, inverted commas, that happened. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't really setting out to be a pop star.
Further discussing the moment in an interview with The Times, she said, "That is as true as God. I believe he was involved in devil business because an old girlfriend of his told me he had the power to make S move around the room. He got me up there to see, could this be one of mine? I guess he didn't bank on the Irish and me telling him to go F himself." Sinead, who in the 1990s received ordination as a priest from Bishop Michael Cox of the Irish Orthodox Catholic and Apostolic Church and currently practices as a Muslim, has also detailed in her book a distressing encounter with Prince. She asserted that he struck her with an object concealed within a pillowcase during a pillow fight and described instances of him allegedly stalking her with his car and chasing her down the road after escaping from what she described as a macabre mansion.
But it's very hopeful, isn't it? He obviously intends to get her back.
Yes.
He's getting her back because she's coming home.
The Irish singer has stated that there were multiple factors contributing to Prince's violent behavior during their meeting. Prince, who passed away in 2016 at the age of 57, is no longer able to comment on these allegations. Sinead explained, "Firstly, Prince didn't like people covering his songs. Secondly, he had all these female proteges, and he was annoyed that I wasn't one of them. Moreover, Sinead has also characterized Prince as a violent A of women and alleged that he terrorized and physically A her during her visit to his Hollywood mansion in the 1990s. These claims were also featured in her memoir, which was previewed in a New York Times profile, a publication that occurred 4 years after Prince's unfortunate death from a drug overdose. She writes that Prince summoned her to his macabre Hollywood mansion, chastised her for swearing in interviews, harangued his butler to serve her soup, though she repeatedly refused it, and sweetly suggested a pillow fight, only to thump her with something hard he'd slipped into his pillowcase, the Times reported. When she escaped on foot in the middle of the night, she writes, he stalked her with his car, leapt out, and chased her around the highway. In her own words, Sinead wrote, "You've got to be crazy to be a musician, but there's a difference between being crazy and being a violent A of women." However, the massive public was always on Prince's side, and they never seemed to be lingered by Sinead's narrative. One of his fans wrote, "The industry has been killing off artists for a long time now. MJ, Prince, Whitney, etc. When you no longer want to play by their rules, this is your end, or they will destroy you in front of millions. This industry is very evil." Another fan wrote, "It's heartbreaking to think of such an icon being in a position of helplessness knowing they were coming for him. And everyone around him was wicked. Soon as he got ownership BCK from his music, they killed him." One other fan penned his emotions as, "Before he died, I watched him in an interview where he said that G. Washington was not the first US president, that there was 8 other presidents before him, and like he said, I don't know about you, but I get a bit pissed off when people lie to me. Yeah, I get pissed too." His untimely demise really left the audience in shock and many questions unanswered. In addition to the official conspiracy theories surrounding Prince's death, such as TMZ's suggestion of a drug overdose and the National Enquirer's mention of AIDS, the internet has given rise to various speculations about the circumstances of the musical genius's passing. Some even pointed out curious connections like The Simpsons supposedly predicting Prince's death.
Playing second fiddle to Michael Jackson, and perhaps that had something to do with the fact that the episode never got made.
The 19th episode of The Simpsons' annual Treehouse of Horror series included a segment where Homer Simpson eliminates several celebrities, including Prince, whom he supposedly kills using the singer's distinctive-shaped guitar. Some individuals have interpreted this as possible evidence that the animated comedy series had foreknowledge of Prince's eventual death, which took place 8 years later, and have even suggested the involvement of the Illuminati in these speculations. However, fans fans also think that he is himself responsible for his own death, as one person commented, "I grew up a Prince fan. I stopped listening to him years before he died. It was so many things I found out that I would never praise an entertainer again in my life. All of them are paid to entertain and keep you blinded from the truth. Hollywood is evil wood, the devil's playground. He was a big player in his own death." Moreover, there is an interesting story about Prince holding back an album due to a negative ecstasy trip. His Black album was initially set to be released in 1987, but just before its release, he withdrew the album. Insiders claim that Prince believed releasing the album would have an evil influence, and he reportedly expressed that he couldn't subject the world to it. The album was eventually released in 1994.
All the girls and all the boys, get close. Have no fear.
Prince's enigmatic nature and statements have led some people to believe that he may have predicted his own death. His brief and somewhat awkward interaction with social media included his last Instagram post just before his passing. This post featured a picture of him along with the since-deleted message, "Just when you thought you were safe." Given Prince's tendency for mysterious pronouncements, some more conspiracy-minded individuals on the internet have interpreted this message to suggest that he might have had a premonition or sense that he was in some form of danger. However, such interpretations are speculative and not based on concrete evidence. One of his friends, Maya Washington, said, "Before you meet him, you have the idea of him being this thing. He's untouchable. He's a unicorn. He's a metaplanet." So the first thing I was taken aback by, and a lot of people are taken aback by, is his size. Because I'm short, I'm 5'3", and he's shorter than me. But that aside, he is a unicorn. He's somehow floating when he's talking. Some individuals have suggested that Prince may have predicted his own death during his final public appearance at a party held at Paisley Park shortly after receiving treatment for an overdose and just days before his passing. According to reports, Prince told those in attendance, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers." This statement has led to speculation and interpretations that he might have had a foreboding sense of his impending death. However, it's important to note that such interpretations are based on the circumstances surrounding his final days and remain speculative.
Left everything on the stage. He gave us his all. He did around 4 encores.
And he was dead after some time. Music legend Prince died after taking what he thought was Vicodin, but was actually a counterfeit painkiller that was laced with fentanyl, a Minnesota prosecutor said in announcing that he would not be filing criminal charges in Prince's death. In all likelihood, Prince had no idea he was taking a counterfeit pill that could kill him, Carver County Attorney Mark Metz said at a news conference in Chaska. Others around Prince also likely did not know that the pills were counterfeit containing fentanyl. Despite an intensive investigation, there is no reliable evidence showing how Prince obtained the counterfeit Vicodin laced with fentanyl, or who was involved in procuring those pills, Metz said. This has compounded the shock and sorrow of his departure for his fans, still wondering why he died of an opioid overdose and why his multi-million-dollar estate is still such a mess. Contradictions and seeming inconsistencies are part and parcel of Prince's whole story. Nothing is simple or self-evident, says Alex Hahn, a Boston lawyer, Prince fan, and co-author of The Rise of Prince, 1958 to 1988. With someone like Elvis Presley or Kurt Cobain or Amy Winehouse, there is an unambiguous picture of physical or psychological deterioration as part of substance abuse. Prince died of an overdose, but he doesn't have these other signs in common with them. Moreover, Frank Wheaton, a lawyer who, up until last month, represented one of Prince's siblings and presumed heirs, one of an army of lawyers involved in the case, says there's a lot of mystery, a lot of information behind the curtain, and reportedly Katt did not delay in connecting it with Jay-Z. He persistently voiced his apprehensions about an unjust system, challenging the established norms. In his unyielding journey, he managed to carve out a distinct place for himself in the industry. Notably, he unveiled a facet that adds to Jay-Z's current authority and sway, a connection with numerology that largely contributes to his pervasive power. According to Kanye, Jay-Z has shown significant interest in the occult and have been linked to human sacrifices in the past. Kanye West's close bond with them was once considered among Hollywood's strongest connections. Their friendship seemed genuine, leading us to believe it would last indefinitely. However, this perception was shattered. Kanye's words were direct. He asserted that not only his mother but also others had been sacrificed, and yet a veil of silence shrouds this alleged dark group. Those who resist control reportedly experience trauma or disappear. Known for his candid expressions, Kanye remains unafraid to voice his thoughts, whether they pertain to anti-Semitism or uncovering instances of human sacrifices. In addition, Kanye asserted his immunity to control by Hollywood's higher-ups due to his lack of involvement in any harmful acts. However, he proceeded to outline a roster of individuals who could be influenced, prompting us to infer that he might be alluding to those associated with the Illuminati and who have a history of causing harm to innocent lives. It appears increasingly clear that Prince was not overly preoccupied with the workings of the physical world or what would transpire after his transcendence. Perhaps he had a deep-seated confidence that his legacy was firmly established through his life's accomplishments, and he was content to leave the unfolding of events to fate as he embarked on his journey to the great beyond. That's it for today. Until next time, goodbye.